I don't like these tractors. I mean, it's 7 years old now. Probably that air con. It's worth having fun. It's when the truck's off.
Ploughing engine for that thing on the front.
Another guy actually made a tractor called Ferguson was walking around Bangor Lane and saw his new tractors and said they looked too much like the Ferguson that went before it, and so ordered that the gearbox and the engine were painted gold to distinguish them. So they were the grey gold Ferguson, and then went to the red and grey that we see now. I like the little crawler tractor. Oh, Japanese, I'm told. Very handy little thing. I hope he didn't drive it all the way from Japan. The Leyland going off there. They started off as the BNC mini tractor. Not made in Leyland up the road, these were made at Bathgate in Scotland in the old Albion factory. Followed by the Dexter. There's quite a lot of badge engineering that went on with the Dexters and the Majors, because we started off with the Dexter, then we went to Super Dexter, we had the Major, then we had the Super Major, and it was a little bit, the Ford made little tweaks and a bit of marketing going on. The Yeoman of England, the Turner diesel, I think a V4 diesel engine in that, beautifully turned out, and a really rare and unusual tractor. Very, very rarely you see them on the rally field, but beautifully turned out, and an absolute credit to the owner. The American tractor, the International Farmall. And so you look at the seating position on there, very high up, and would have the toolbar mounted between the front axle and the rear axle. And with the driver being so high, you could do precision hoeing in row crops and such like. Hunting pink with the David Brown. And I'm going to suggest the Fordson following that is probably about 1942, 42, 43. Super Dexter going out there. Again, you notice a three-point linkage. Harry Ferguson patented the three-point linkage, but then other manufacturers saw the brilliance of the idea. It was a brilliant idea, there's no two ways about it. And obviously they had to follow on, and Harry Ferguson sold the patent and so on and so forth. But lovely Fordson Major, 4-cylinder diesel engine in there. You could park it under a hedge, 20 years, go to it, put a battery on it, put some fresh fuel in it, and I guarantee it would start. And as it goes past, you hear the rattle of the Sims injector pump on there. Lovely, lovely tractors. 2 4-wheel drive tractors, the Ford and the Massey Ferguson. And that lovely farm-found Fordson Major. Obviously had a hard-working life. Not a shred of paint left on that by the looks of it, and as the guy said, not going to restore it, just wipe it over with an oily rag. The first of our Model Bs. Again, American tractor, but were assembled firstly in Southampton, and then up at Essendine, which is near Stamford. And I think that's a British built one because it's got the straight front axle. The American built ones had a bowed front axle. I don't quite know what engine that Fordson Major's got in it. If you can hear me, is that a 6 in there? You're not listening. Probably can't hear me. A 6-litre Cummins, so 6 BTA Cummins engine in there. Probably 180 odd horsepower, unless it's got the turbo on it, in which case it's a bit more than that. It actually went up to about 260 horsepower. But it's still the standard Fordson Major back end, and if you've ever taken the back end of one of these to pieces, you'll see why they can take the power, because it is just huge in the back of there. Another little Alice Chalmers there with the P3 in it, the 3-cylinder Perkins. Proper little BMC before they started to badge engineer them. Now they have that key with the thing going at. So, fantastic show there, ladies and gentlemen, of our farm tractors. They're going to go back onto their pins. As I say, go and talk to the owners and the drivers. They are remarkably knowledgeable and passionate about what they've got and the work that's gone into bringing them here today. the arena next in about a quarter of an hour, which by the time we get the tractors out and back on their pins. Our Grand Parade of Steam. I don't know which order they're coming in, whether we're going to bring the miniatures in first and then the full-size steam. But as always here, we have a wonderful display of steam engines. Quite a lot roaded in last night, or yesterday afternoon. I was sat outside my caravan having a beer last night. You hear the engines on the road. It's just a wonderful, wonderful sight and sound to see them being used for what they should be being used for. Yeah, it looks like the foursome there's got the turbo on it, so that'll be upwards of 200 horsepower in that engine. Again, if I can ask when we're moving these vehicles around the arena or around the show field, can you please just keep an eye on small children, animals and such like, and please just listen to what our stewards are asking. but fulfills exactly the same job. You see on the John Murphy one that there is no twisted brass, but on the Frank Lisco one we've got the twisted brass, which we all recognise as a showman's engine. The clues in the name, it was for showmen, they wanted to make a show of it. So again, product of the Barrel factory down in Thetford. The big showman's engine there. Again, bit of a handful to drive on the road. I've had the privilege of steering one of these on the road, and you can see nothing, basically. You notice where the third person is. In front of them is the flywheel. You've got the low canopy on it, and it takes all the time to see where the front wheel is. Added to that, the chain and bobbin steering, so that's probably 20 turns of the steering wheel to move the front wheels from straight ahead to one right. Newtown Holland, very famous American contractors in London, and again, absolutely stunningly turned out. You notice the chimney on the top of this one and the apron that's following it. The chimney on the top, and you'll see it on the John Murphy one. And when they're on the fairground, that puts the queuing well above the crowd. You've been out with the brass again. You've been out cleaning the brass again. Good lad, that's all you seem to do. Again, I'm by the B&B Morgan of Cheshire, and that's the Howard Llewellyn, and that's the Evelyn and Perfect showman's engine. Making its way slowly round the arena, it's probably the biggest engine we've got here this weekend. Again, Bernard Tremont to John Fowler. And John Fowler is credited with revolutionising farming. And this is a ploughing engine. So they're usually used for the work engine pairs, and they're indirect ploughing engines. So the working pairs, underneath the boilers you will see there is a huge winding drum with dry rope on it. So you put one engine on one headland, one engine on the other headland, and you turn the implement, whether it's for a plough or whether it's for a cultivator. Imagine a frosty, foggy morning in the pen, it will be, the engines will be worked by the whistle. So a couple of takes on this and they start to wind in, and so on and so forth. It was not unknown for when the implement or the plough got to there. Again, used commercially up to not very long ago. There's a firm, I think in Shropshire, who were using this to dredge ponds and such like. But again, the working crews that had the living van, that had the crew, and they would go from time to time. A lovely third tractor. We've then got the belly tank on there, compound engine, being managed by one man up there. Notice the half canopy on this rather than the full canopy. So a little bit of driver protection, and of course he's got his umbrella in case it really does rain. Just similar. Looks like a showman's engine, but it's not. This is beautifully turned out. And this is another Fowler, and this is a road locomotive, so this would be the heavy haulage machine of the era. And it is true to when it was new. You look at the sign writing on this, and the lining out, it is absolutely stunning. Here's the Charles Openshaw Limited in Reading in Berkshire, and even up under the canopy. Compound engine. I'm going to suggest that one's quite early. Perhaps if they can hear me, they tell me what year it is. Like 1930, so not as old as I thought then. But again, another tractor road locomotive. Evelyn and Porter did make all sorts of types of things. Back off down to Bill now in Thetford. They didn't produce many rollers, but this is the Bill roller, and new to a very famous rolling contractor and steam contractor down in Cornwall, and that is our Dingle & Son. Again, as I say, a very famous contractor when they were in the steam engines back in the day, and until very recently the Fairground Heritage Association had their museum down at Dingle. That's now moved up to Northampton, I think. But again, single cylinder there, so we're just using the steam once, and you can hear the distinctive bark rather than the big gentle sound of the compact. Another engine, 4 engine now fading. This is the Foden agricultural engine, absolutely beautifully turned out. I should be wearing a Foden t-shirt, not a stand yet. Whatever. Again, beautifully turned out, Foden's limited from Sandbach, not a million miles away. And that's the 6 nominal horsepower. Now, friction engines are measured in nominal horsepower, not horsepower. And it's worked out on the size of managing that engine like he's done it forever. There's gentle taps on that regulator, under control of course by Dad on, I presume it's Dad on there, but in a really grand job. Now to get steam up in that, whereas you jump in a petrol lorry or a diesel lorry and away we go. So I think that may be it. And that's what we like to see. We do like to see a small child.
There we are. Sorry, excuse me.